Peak to slang. John McVeigh.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV coming to you with a news alert. John McAfee, an eccentric businessman, best known for founding the company that created the popular McAfee antivirus software program. John McAfee has been found dead in a Spanish prison. McAfee was awaiting extradition to the U.S. on tax evasion charges. Actually, I believe it was just today that I believe it was ruled in Spain that he would be extradited just today. It was very recent, but I believe it might have been today. I'll have to double check that. So he was going to be extradited to the U.S. on tax evasion charges. He also faced other charges in the U.S., but he was found dead in prison. El País, which is a Spanish newspaper, is reporting that it was suicide. So we want to bring you the latest on this story. And also we want to take your comments and questions on the air. We're just going to bring you the latest updates here. So you can give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner. Something else I should add about John McAfee is he did contend for the Libertarian nomination for president in 2016, but he lost out to Gary Johnson for that. So we're going to bring you the latest updates. We're going to take your comments and questions on the air at Lookner on Twitter. He was 75 years old, John McAfee, and certainly condolences go out to his family. So let me just do one quick thing here, and then we'll get you the details on the story. Okay, so I'll start just to show you here. It's some of the stories don't mention the suicide. The one source I've seen, the one major source I've seen that mentions the suicide is El País. What you're looking at is a translation of an article that's originally in Spanish. So some of the wording might be a little off. But basically you can see the headline says, the founder of McAfee antivirus, John McAfee, commits suicide in a Barcelona prison. The businessman was arrested at the El Prat airport and was awaiting extradition to the U.S. for tax evasion. Let's just read this. This is Spanish media. And again, the wording might be a little off here because it's a translation of an article in Spanish. The founder of McAfee antivirus, John McAfee, was found dead this afternoon in Brians 2 prison in Barcelona. Prison officials found him hanging in his cell, according to police sources who say they treat the event as a suicide. So this is not, if I'm reading this right, this is not an official announcement from the police that he committed suicide. What it is El País has some sources in the police, and the sources are telling El País they found him hanging in the cell, and they're treating it as a suicide. Pending the autopsy, the police have not found any evidence of foul play, of criminality in the death. McAfee was awaiting extradition to the U.S. after being detained by the police for tax evasion charges that he faced in the U.S. Let's see. McAfee 75 was admitted to Module 1 of the Brianz 1 prison. I wonder if I can Google the Brianz 1 prison. What will come up? Center Penitentiary Brianz 1, Barcelona. I assume this is it. Let's see. Oh, and I guess he had posted about being in this prison. Yeah, see, look. November 11th, 2020, John McAfee posted that he was in Brianz 1 prison in Barcelona. So that was the prison he was in. I'm looking on Google here to get you a shot of the prison, if I can. Why did that not come up? Let's see. Here it is. That's the front of the prison. This is in Barcelona. This is where he was being kept. This prison right here. If I'm looking up the right thing. Okay. El País also says the prison surveillance professionals found him dead in the cell, and the prison medical services intervened to carry out resuscitation maneuvers. But they have not been able to save his life. I guess this is according to Spanish authorities, Spanish Department of Justice. He had been in this prison for 8 months. Okay, so I'm going to show you some other articles on this, but again, this is the major source I've seen claiming that he committed suicide, and they're saying that they have police sources that told them, not an official announcement, but El País says police sources told them he was found hanging in his cell, and they're treating it as a suicide, and there's no evidence of criminality. Although it looks like the police themselves might have announced that there's no evidence of criminality, and that he was, and they're reporting that, and the Department of Justice in Spain, I guess, if the wording is correct, said they tried to resuscitate him. As to, one question you wonder, which I think about when I think about the death of the Epstein death, was it normal for him to be able, was this something they were worried about? Were they worried about him committing suicide? Were they supposed to be checking him regularly? When Jeffrey Epstein died, he was found hanging in his cell, or having hanged himself, from what the authorities said. But he was supposed to be watched, and he wasn't being watched as he was supposed to be. I don't know what the situation was with John McAfee. Okay. Now let me show you another article about this. So again, John McAfee was a prominent and eccentric businessman, and he created the company that McAfee Associates, I think it was, that created one of the first prominent antivirus programs, McAfee Antivirus. Let's see here. But again, what I want to show you is I believe it was just today that there was a ruling in Spain that he was going to be extradited to the U.S. So is that what led, if he did commit suicide, is that what led to it? Is that, it became certain today that he would be extradited to the U.S. John McAfee found dead in Spanish jail after court says he can be extradited to U.S. for tax crimes, reports say. Eccentric antivirus software company founder John McAfee was found dead in his prison cell in Barcelona, Spain, shortly after Spain's national court approved his extradition to the U.S. to face criminal tax evasion charges. Reuters and the AP confirmed. This is from CNBC article. He was also facing charges in the U.S. over, scamming people in a cryptocurrency scam. We'll talk about that too. So he was facing other charges in the U.S. as well. The Spanish newspaper El Mundo first reported that 75-year-old McAfee was dead, according to the Catalan Justice Department. El Mundo reported the prison's medical professionals attempted to resuscitate him. This says he was being held at Brian's 2 prison. I think it was Brian's 1 prison. The other article says Brian's 1 prison. McAfee was arrested last October in Barcelona on tax evasion charges, which are pending in a federal court in Tennessee. According to the indictment, McAfee earned millions of dollars in income from promoting cryptocurrencies, consulting work, speaking engagements, and selling the rights to his life story for a documentary. The Justice Department in the U.S. said he had not. He failed to file tax returns from 2014 to 2018. McAfee was blah, 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 blah. The Justice Department has said that McAfee and others involved in that so-called, McAfee was also charged in Tennessee federal court with failing to report income he made from promoting cryptocurrencies. The Justice Department has said that McAfee and others involved in that so-called scalping scheme bought large amounts of cheap cryptocurrency altcoins, then aggressively promoted them online with false and misleading endorsement tweets to artificially inflate their market prices. The Justice Department said McAfee team members have collectively earned more than $2 million in illicit profits from their altcoin scalping activities. And then this was a tweet that McAfee posted last week, which says, this was posted on June 16th. The U.S. believes I have hidden crypto. I wish I did, but it has dissolved through the many hands of Team McAfee. Your belief is not required, and my remaining assets are all seized. My friends evaporated through fear of association. I have nothing, yet I regret nothing. There's another tweet that's been floating around that I saw Philip Lewis posted about. Let me show you that one, too. Philip Lewis posted this tweet. He said, this old tweet from John McAfee is circulating around after he was found dead in a Spanish prison while awaiting extradition to the U.S. So in 2019, November, this is before he was arrested in Spain, because he was arrested in Spain at the end of last year. He said, getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, we're coming for you, McAfee, we're going to kill yourself. I got a tattoo today just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't, I was whacked. Check my right arm. Dollar whacked, available only on McAfeeDex.com. No, this tweet was from a year and a half ago. Okay, I want to take some comments from you guys, but again, John, and then he has this, there's a bunch of, I would say, interesting stuff in his past history, which we'll talk about too. But he has been found dead. And again, a local El País Spanish newspaper is saying it's from suicide. He was found hanging in his cell. All right, give me a shout. I want to take some comments from you guys. Oops, I forgot to turn on slow mode. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know, Danny. My bad. That's the one thing I forgot to do, is turn on slow mode. Okay. All right, give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. Yes, and Viola Swamp, our viewer, mentions McAfee antivirus software, which was one of the big early antivirus programs. McAfee antivirus. Let's see if it says it here. Blah, 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 early years, Wikipedia. I just remember this it being one of the first antivirus software programs I was aware of. Bacon Cat says, this is so crazy. Linda Belk said, had he been ill before today? Nothing I've read, Linda, said he had been ill before today. I don't know. Okay, hang on a second here. Again, at Lookner on Twitter is the best place to reach me. Right, and now Gerald Curl sent me this. Thank you, Gerald. This is another tweet from John McAfee from October of last year. I guess shortly after. It sounds like this was shortly after he was arrested, because he was arrested in October of last year. What day was he arrested last year? It says here October 3rd. So this was about 2 weeks after he was arrested last year. He said, "I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good, all is well. Know that if I hang myself a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine." So this is what he had posted. You know, I certainly think it is not implausible to me that he might have taken his own life, given that there was just a ruling, I believe today, that said he was going to be extradited to the United States. Our viewer Sil says he had been experiencing heart issues several months ago. His wife tweeted about it. You can message me if you have anything about that. Let's see here. And you can actually check his. This is his Twitter account. He had 1 million followers on Twitter. I'm just looking back for his recent tweets. I mean, he still was tweeting. Here's a tweet he posted on June 8th. "I have 1 million followers, but I'd be surprised if even 1% bother to read my tweets. Ramblings of an old man lost in a near-infinite Twitterverse, like tears and rain. As you may guess, I'm having a down day." GK says he was on Instagram. He had 54,000 followers on Instagram. I'm assuming this is his site. Oh yeah, it's a verified site. So this is the real John McAfee Instagram. His last post was, what is this? When was this posted? I don't know when was it. Just says Q. When was this posted though? I don't know when this was posted. It doesn't say when the post was. It doesn't say when the post was made. That I can find. Jess Knows Best says, "How is he able to be on social media in prison? I assume they let him use his phone or a computer." Okay, let's give you a little more detail here. Sometimes the different articles have different things. Here's an article from Daily Beast. We'll see what they have to say. The software magnate, if I'm pronouncing that right, magnate. Never say it out loud. Magnate. Here you go. The software magnate reportedly died just hours after a Spanish court approved his extradition to the United States. John McAfee was found dead. A software magnate. He started the company that created McAfee antivirus software. He was found dead this afternoon, just hours after the Spanish High Court authorized his extradition to the U.S. on tax evasion charges. He was 75. Reuters confirmed the statement from the Department of Justice, which said the death was most likely a suicide. He was arrested in October 2020 in Barcelona before he could go aboard a connecting flight to Istanbul. A U.S. indictment was unsealed, charging McAfee with failing to pay taxes on millions of dollars he earned from, among other things, promoting cryptocurrencies, consulting work, and selling the rights to his life story. Ooh, this is the press release from the Department of Justice from last October. John McAfee indicted for tax evasion. Allegedly hid cryptocurrency, a yacht, real estate, and other properties in nominee in nominee names to evade taxes. So this is what he was going to be extradited back for. According to the indictment, says the Department of Justice in the U.S., John McAfee earned millions in income from promoting cryptocurrencies, consulting work, speaking engagements, and selling the rights to his life story for a documentary. From 2014 to 2018, he allegedly failed to file tax returns. According to the indictment, McAfee allegedly evaded his tax liability by directing his income to be paid into bank accounts and cryptocurrency exchange accounts in the names of nominees. So he was like they're saying he was trying to hide his income by putting it into other people's accounts. The indictment further alleges McAfee attempted to evade the IRS by concealing assets, including real property, a vehicle, and a yacht in the names of others. If convicted, he faced a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison on each count of tax evasion and a maximum sentence of 1 year in prison on each count of willful failure to file a tax return. So that's a summary of what he was coming back to face. Lane says, what about the allegedly murder charges? So there's this thing about when he was in Belize. If you go to Wikipedia here, John McAfee. He founded the software company McAfee Associates in 1987 and ran it until 1994 when he was out of the company. McAfee Associates achieved early success as the creator of McAfee's first commercial antivirus software. McAfee's wealth peaked in 2007 at $100 million before his investments plummeted in the financial crisis of 2007-2008, says Wikipedia. And then the thing about Belize, hold on a second here. He resided for a number of years in Belize, but returned to the U.S. in 2013 while wanted in Belize for questioning. I believe his neighbor died. Legal issues. Also, his property was raided in Belize. In 2012, his property in Belize was raided by the Belize Police Department. At the time, McAfee was in bed with a girlfriend. A police press release said McAfee was arrested for unlicensed drug manufacturing and possession of an unlicensed weapon. He was released without charge. And then the police later said he wasn't even charged, only suspected. In January 2014, McAfee claimed that when the Belize government raided his property, it seized his assets and that his house later burned down under mysterious, suspicious circumstances. In November 2012, Belize police started a search for McAfee as a person of interest in connection to the murder of American expatriate Gregory Viant Fall. Fall was found dead of a gunshot in November 2012 at his home. Fall was a neighbor of McAfee's. In November 2012, McAfee told Wired he has always been afraid police would kill him, and thus refused their routine questions. He has since evaded the Belize authorities. Belize's prime minister called McAfee extremely paranoid, even bonkers. McAfee fled Belize when he was sought for questioning concerning the murder of his neighbor. Then there's this, just going around here. In December 2012, Reuters and ABC News reported McAfee had 2 minor heart attacks in a Guatemalan detention center and was hospitalized. McAfee's lawyer said his client had not suffered heart attacks, but had instead suffered from high blood pressure and anxiety attacks. McAfee later said he had faked the heart attacks while being held in Guatemala to buy time for his attorney to file a series of appeals that ultimately prevented his deportation to Belize, thus hastening the government's decision to send him back to the U.S. In 2015, he was arrested in Henderson County, Tennessee, on charges of 1 count of driving under the influence and 1 count of possession of a firearm while intoxicated. So there's like stuff like this. In 2020, the Securities Exchange Commission filed a complaint alleging that McAfee had fraudulently promoted certain ICOs. Is this initial coin offerings? According to the SEC, McAfee presented himself as an impartial investor when he promoted the ICOs, despite the fact he was allegedly paid $23 million in digital assets in exchange for the promotion. In 2021, McAfee was indicted in the U.S. for allegedly fraudulently promoting certain cryptocurrencies and performing pump and dump schemes. I believe that that's a different charge than the tax evasion charges. He faced these charges as well. Okay, so again, just giving you some of the past history of John McAfee. But he initially became very wealthy when he founded the company McAfee Associates, which developed McAfee antivirus software. And he was in prison, and it was just, you can see it says the software magnate reportedly died just hours after a Spanish court approved his extradition to the United States. According to El País Spanish paper, he was found hanging in his cell. It's being treated as a suicide, and they tried to resuscitate him, but they were unsuccessful. Cannabis Wiki says the Instagram post was made 37 minutes ago, or were the comments on it more recent? So this is his Instagram. I'm not sure why there's a post that says Q, but 46 minutes ago. It's down here. Is this when the post was made? Hold on a second here. See how it says 46 minutes ago? If this was posted 46 minutes ago, it doesn't say anything. So I don't know why this got posted or who posted it, because he would have been dead at the time. It appears to be his Instagram though. Nancy K says, would he have information on something that he was sitting on? I mean, something you would wonder, right, in any situation like this is certainly he had a plausible, I could understand him taking his own life if he didn't want to get extradited to the U.S. and go to jail, right? But you might wonder, like, well, if he was going to get extradited to the U.S. and go testify, was there someone worried about what he might testify? That I don't know. Frizzy Kid says, when was the last time he posted on Instagram before the last post? So that would be this post. Oh, this says freed McAfee 37 weeks ago. Maybe somebody else was controlling his. Did he post this? That's 37 weeks ago. Maybe somebody else just had control. Maybe he gave somebody else control over his Instagram. But the Instagram hadn't been posted on since 37 weeks ago, it looks like. October 5th, which was soon after he was arrested. Wasn't he arrested on October 5th? Let's see. October 3rd. So 2 days after he was arrested in Spain last October, this post was on his Instagram. It was posted on his Instagram. That was the last post before today. But he was posting on Twitter frequently over the last few months. Still says anyone could have hacked his IG. Hey, I want to say a quick thank you to Cannabis Wiki. Thank you. And Danny James. And I missed a donation before. I apologize. Did I get the person before? Hang on a second here. And I also want to say a quick thanks to our moderators. Give me 1 second here, guys. Just give me 1 second. Let's see. Thank you, Kirk Spaziani, for your support, and Gray Fox for your support as well. Kirk says he had a crazy life. Hey, let me just take a quick second and thank our moderators. I really appreciate it. Linda Belk is moderating. Thank you, Linda. Sarah55, Short Stack is moderating. Thank you. Danny James is moderating. Rusty G is moderating. Hopefully I'm getting everybody there. And also, we have Papa Bear Racing Neophyte and Tariak are moderating as well. Thank you for moderating there. Charles Lovaglio, our viewer, says, little strange he had a Q on his Instagram. Well, it just got posted there after he died, apparently. Sherry Mathis Caminas says, I see a Netflix documentary coming soon. One of the viewers said there was a documentary about him on oxygen. I have not seen the documentary. Somebody sent me this too. Who sent me this? Sorry, going through some different things here. Somebody sent me a link to something about his documentary. Multi-Strain Media sent me this. This is from 2016, how an award-winning documentarian unearthed a damning new case against John McAfee. I'm not going to read the whole thing now. But I guess there's a documentary, Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Maybe I'll go through it in a little bit. What does it say here? Blah, 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 blah. This article, The Verge, says the documentarian traveled to Belize for 3 months late last year, sitting down with those McAfee spent his time with. What emerges is a shocking portrayal of an expat whose activities weren't just questionable, but sadistic, psychotic, and outright villainous. Anyways, if you want to read some more about this, you can go to The Verge. We might check back in on that later. Here's what the New York Times just came out with an article. Let's see what they have to say a few minutes ago. John McAfee, software pioneer wanted in the U.S., dies in Spanish prison. John McAfee, founder of the antivirus software maker bearing his name, died in prison in Spain on Wednesday. The same day, a Spanish court ruled that he could be extradited to the U.S. on tax evasion charges. You have to think that there's a connection there between these two things, right? I don't know, but I mean, him dying on prison just hours after a Spanish court said he could be extradited to the U.S. He was arrested last year after prosecution in the U.S. accused him of not filing tax returns for a number of years. He had resisted extradition to the U.S., claiming he faced political persecution by U.S. authorities, in part because he opposed the fiat money system. But on Wednesday, today, the Spanish court said it would allow the Justice Department's request to extradite him. He was also the center of a media frenzy in 2012 surrounding the death in Belize of his neighbor. He fled his home there after the police called him a person of interest. McAfee was once a household name in computer security, but it rose to prominence largely without him after he resigned from the company in 1994. Intel bought the company in 2010. Before and after its purchase by Intel, the company tried to distance itself from Mr. McAfee. In 2014, Intel changed the company's name to Intel Security, but it never completely shook its attachment to its founder and the brand he helped create. Give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. I want to hear from you. Brian D. says, I don't think he would warn against his own suicide being murder if he was going to fake his own death. Yeah, so I don't think he faked his own death. So I am certain he's actually dead. But he had as we told you before, he had repeatedly, multiple times, claimed on social media that if he was found dead of suicide, it wasn't actually suicide. So again, this is a tweet from 2019. This is before he was even arrested. This was before the Justice Department charged him with tax evasion. And he had said in 2019, getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, "We're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to kill yourself. I got a tattoo today just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm." And I don't even know what this is. Whacked, available only on McAfeeDex.com. Is that a real site? I'm getting a warning message, so I'm not going to that site. And then there was another tweet he posted, which a viewer sent in. If I can find it here. Yeah, our viewer Gerald Curl sent this in. Last October, he posted from prison shortly after he was arrested in Spain. "Know that if I hang myself a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine." Bull Scorpio Gaming, our viewer, says he was a smart guy whose intelligence got warped and took him into dark places. Dennis, our viewer, says he showed bizarre behaviors, so yeah, don't be so fast on conspiracy theories. Our viewer Pete M says the guy was unstable and his world was collapsing around him. It was suicide for sure. Always Knew thinks John McAfee was telling the truth. Donna Dugan says he was a sketchy, weird dude. Linda said, have they given a method of suicide yet? According to the El País article, he was found hanging in his cell. Let me know your thoughts. I'm checking some different articles here just to see if they have different information. CNN, John McAfee was found dead in Spanish prison hours after his extradition to the U.S. was approved. I want to check some of the Spanish articles. A statement from the Catalan authorities says everything indicates McAfee could have died by suicide. This is interesting. Earlier today, a 3-judge panel in Spain ruled McAfee could be extradited to the U.S. to face charges there. The decision could still have been appealed by a larger panel of judges in the same court, according to court documents. That's interesting. Could he have still appealed this decision today? In a virtual hearing in Spanish court earlier this month, McAfee argued that the U.S. tax evasion charges against him were politically motivated. McAfee was also indicted in March on a separate fraud and money laundering charges. So he faced tax evasion charges, fraud charges, and money laundering charges in the U.S. The U.S. Department of Justice alleged that he and a business partner participated in a scheme that had earned more than $13 million by falsely promoting cryptocurrencies to unwitting investors. The final 2 decades of his life also included a somewhat bizarre series of events. In 2012, McAfee briefly vanished after fleeing his home in Belize because local police tried to question him on the death of his neighbor. He has denied involvement in the death and claimed he fled because he feared for his life. He spent time in Guatemala, then moved to Montreal, where he worked on a documentary about his life. He ran for U.S. president in 2016 as a libertarian and launched a new security product that he called an effing game changer. Our viewer Carol Reed says he was incredibly intelligent, had some nut after him when he was younger, probably didn't pay his taxes. Some strange things happened around him, and he was older too. It's sad to lose a bright person. I'm assuming he just figured. I'm assuming he figured he was 75 years old, so he might have figured that he was going to the U.S. and was going to go to prison for the rest of his life. Donna Dugan says the documentary on him is fascinating. I'll have to watch it now. I want to watch the documentary. I've never seen it. Dog Munch thinks he was a nutter. Here it is. Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. It's a 2016 documentary film about the portion of his life spent in Belize. It aired on Showtime. I'm going to have to watch this. McAfee became a multimillionaire after, this is from Wikipedia, after creating prominent antivirus software and later relocated to Belize. In 2012, April, National Police raided his estate based on suspicions of drug manufacture or trafficking, but he wasn't charged with anything. Later that year, his neighbor was murdered, and McAfee went into hiding before crossing the border into Guatemala and being deported back to the U.S. The documentary suggests McAfee was involved in the murder due to a feud between him and his neighbor over McAfee's dogs. McAfee was never charged with any crime in Belize. McAfee described the documentary as fiction. Now, there's some different positive and negative reviews of the documentary. A Hollywood Reporter, I guess there are critics, said that the documentary seems to have wound up conducting an investigation more thorough or more fruitful than any other local, or at least more fruitful than any local authority. A Slate critic said, even when Bursian's questions don't prompt easy answers, it's thrilling to consider the possibilities that arise in their wake. A more negative review came from Steve Green of IndieWire, who said the film works best as an indictment of a sensationalist tunnel vision brand of media coverage that confuses eccentricity for legitimacy and eschews reporting in favor of face value testimony of a strong personality. I'll have to check it out anyway. Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Dog Munch says Oki's Weird Stories did a 4-part series on him. Yeah, I don't know if there's other biographies out there. I'm seeing the one about Gringo, but maybe there's been other ones on him. All right, give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. We are reporting on the death of John McAfee. Hang on one second here. In a Spanish prison. Here, look. Mike Rothschild. John McAfee's final Instagram post, a giant Q. The post went out at 1:15 p.m., meaning he was likely already dead. But he or someone on his team knew exactly what to do to achieve maximum blank posting effect. So that is, we went to his Instagram, and that was indeed, sorry, let me just do something real quick here. That is the last post on his Instagram. Hang on. That's from Mike Rothschild. Just to be clear, the word S-posting, I want to see how it's being used there. Wikipedia says S-posting is posting aggressively, ironically, and trollishly poor quality posts or content to an online forum or social media. S-posts are intentionally designed to derail discussions or cause the biggest reaction with the least effort. That's what the Wikipedia definition of S-posting is. Okay. Kavit writes in and says, McAfee knew USA prison won't allow free prison life, aka phone usage, etc., that he was in that prison life. I don't know what his prison life was like in Spain. I mean, he clearly was able to post on Twitter regularly, but I don't know that you can't use Twitter. I mean, I would assume that some prisoners could, in some prisons, can use a computer and use the internet. So I don't know if prisoners can regularly use Twitter, specifically in federal prisons of the kind that he might end up in.